Hi, beautiful. I felt compelled to record this video. It's Saturday night, it's almost 9 o'clock, but I got hit with something that I really wanted to share with my friends, my audience, about what actually had to take place behind the scenes, month by month, year by year, to get me from where I once was to where I am today. I thought it would be really beneficial to take you on that journey with me so that it can feel more realistic to you, because maybe you're watching this and you feel like you're a million steps away from actually having what I claim you can have. It might feel like a false hope or a dream, just unrealistic for you to experience. But that's where I'm here to say, no, it absolutely can. So I'm actually going to backtrack to one of my lowest of low moments I can recall. So I remember waking up face down on the carpet of a brand new house that I had bought with my then ex-husband as a rental property. And lo and behold, why did I wake up face down on the carpet? This was 5.5 years ago. It would have been October of 2013. It's because I ended up me taking possession of that property rather than it being a rental property for future tenants. It became my home. I bought it from him with the money I made from selling our house when we went through our divorce the summer prior to that, when I was turning 29. And why would I be waking up face planted on the carpet is I just received my keys for possession that day, and I didn't have furniture yet, but I lived close by, so I started moving in a couple boxes of things. And when I walked into the place, there was a basket from the home builder welcoming me in with crackers and chocolates and a bottle of wine. And for those of you who are new to learning my backstory, is that I used to have a big problem with alcohol, and I'm on the brink of being 2 years sober. Any case, when I saw that basket and the wine bottle, my first thought was, oh shit, because in that moment, I knew it was impossible for me to not proceed with drinking the wine, and I had a rule. And the rule said I'm never allowed to drink alcohol alone. And that's how I tried to manage my addiction back then, is saying, well, I don't have a problem as long as I never do it alone. And sometimes I'd stay true to that, and sometimes I definitely wouldn't. So that night, seeing that bottle of wine there all wrapped up, I knew that I was not yet strong enough to overcome that desire for it. And so I knew right away when I saw it what was going to happen. And one thing led to another, and as I was moving my things in and unpacking, I drank the whole bottle very quickly. I don't remember it. I don't remember blacking out. That's something that would happen back then to me. And I woke up the next morning face down on the carpet in one of the bedrooms upstairs. And the feeling of guilt and shame and shock that I could become so incoherent and unaware of my behavior and actions. I definitely didn't own wine openers or bottle openers back then. I was smarter than that. I knew that would be tempting. And so I didn't actually have a way to open up the wine bottle. It was like a cork. And so I found a way. This really showcases that I was in the height of the addiction, is that I actually took a knife and I put the knife into the cork and I pulled it out that way. And lo and behold, it splattered red wine on the wall of literally my brand new house, townhouse that was a couple hours old in my possession. So it's quite interesting that had to happen. But in any case, waking up on the floor, it was a horrific moment for me, because I realized, oh my God, I'm not in control of my life. My life is not panning out the way I thought it would. What's happening to me? Am I going to be okay? Will I ever get through this addiction? because I really realized I really have one, because if I didn't, what unfolded last night wouldn't have happened. I felt embarrassed. I felt like I was living a double life, like I'm so healthy and into eating healthy and exercise and all the things, but yet I have this demon that I can't seem to conquer. Just like some of you might be watching thinking you're trying to do all these things to enhance your life, but you still might have your own addiction, whether it be a food addiction or a drug addiction, an alcohol addiction, a relationship addiction, social media addiction. We all have a vice, right? And all I knew is I wanted to get away from the way I was feeling and start to feeling better and free myself from the emotional torment I was in, because when you're feeling guilty and shameful about the way you're living your life, it really feels like a prison and a self-inflicted hell. And so like I said, that was October of 2013, about 5.5 years ago. And I'm sharing that to let you really understand how bad it once was for me, because you see me running around the world, running a very successful business, making a lot of money, being healthier than I've ever been, being in union now with my soulmate, all these amazing things that are huge blessings that I count every single day. But what you're not seeing is that day waking up with a carpet imprint on my face, in tears, recognizing what was happening and what I didn't have control over, no matter how hard I tried. But what was also simultaneously growing my strength and growing my desire to change, to transform from the inside out. And that's what led me to invest in my very, very first self-development course. It was a self-study course, nothing crazy. I did it in January. So January of 5 years ago, my very first self-development course I enrolled in. I think it was probably 6 weeks long. It wasn't a private mentor or group program. It was really just a self-study, got some videos, and I started learning about the chakra energy system. That's what it was on. And I was really starting to go down a more spiritual path. So I really gobbled up that information and learned so much about my chakras and how those energy centers were affecting so many aspects of my life, including the addiction that I was suffering from. So that was my first self-development enrollment, right? So I just want to highlight that where I'm at now, running a skincare business, an energy healing practice, multiple signature online programs, private mentorship, masterminds, speaking, all of those things, I had no idea were going to come. It was just making that decision. I'm going to invest in myself. I want to feel better. I'm going to expand my knowledge base and see what comes of this. It was a curiosity and a willingness and a desire for change. And after that, just a month or two later, I found myself enrolling in, many of you probably have heard of it or done it before, it was Marie Forleo's B School, right? So that was, again, almost 5 years ago, or 5 years ago actually. And I have to admit, I jumped the gun a little bit. I invested in that when I knew I was passionate about holistic health and these like things to feel better, but I was not yet clear on how that could be my job in any sort of way. I was working as a primary therapist in injury rehab. My background is exercise physiology, and I was working in that role for many, 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 many years. I did it for almost 10 years actually. But it didn't fill me up. It didn't light me up. Yes, I got to work with clients and assist them in their transformation, but it was in a very boxed in manner. It wasn't a mind, body, spirit approach. So I felt like I was squandering my gifts, or at least my passions and my higher purpose. So I invested in B School, and I didn't really have a tangible outcome of that because I didn't know yet what I wanted to do. I had a general vague idea of healthy this and holistic anything, right? So that was that, and I was brainstorming ideas throughout the subsequent months following that of, oh, maybe it could be this, or maybe I want a website or a blog. And again, it was very like scattered. And maybe some of you are in that phase and you just think, well, it's not in the cards for you because you don't have clarity yet. And then it was about 8 months after enrolling in that program that I got hit with the inspired idea that finally brought clarity that my first soulpreneur passion-based business was going to be my own natural skincare line. I was so passionate about holistic health and clean living, even though I was still suffering from managing that addiction, because it goes hand in hand. When you have something that you really don't want, you want all these other things that are the opposite. So it really was one of the reasons I was so into natural skincare and healthy living, is because of the very challenge I had with the unhealthy aspect of how I was living. And perhaps some of you can relate to that too. So I got hit with the idea, and it was going to blend all my interests and passions into one. I got hit with the idea while traveling Sedona. A lot of energy vortices can hit you through the crown chakra with that inspired idea. And that was November of 2014. I came home from the trip and I literally worked all of my weekends. I worked evenings at home, plugging along, learning what I'd have to do to create my own skincare line. And what really was so exciting for me about it is I wanted to put crystal energy into it. So I started making my own gemstone essences, so that when you're putting on the skincare, you're also getting crystal healing and awakening well-being in the mind, body, and spirit. So all my favorite things mixed into the skincare. So that happened while working full-time, and I really used my full-time job to fund that endeavor. And so I want to plant that seed of possibility to you too. You don't have to just quit and then suddenly the career appears. You can use your current corporate career to fund the startup costs of your new business, just like I did. And give yourself time on the weekends to do it, to actually put in the work. And so a year after that, November 2015, is when I launched the skincare company online and in person and in a couple of stores. So that was, I guess, 3.5 years ago now, right? So it's just one step at a time, this curiosity leading to that, exploring it, nurturing, and that curiosity leading to that, then finding what fit, getting clarity on it, and then really dedicating focused effort on the specific thing that really felt right. And that allowed me to still do the website, the blog, to teach and share all these things I'm passionate about, but also still showcase the skincare. Following that, I wanted to take my love of energy healing and that aspect of things to the next level. So I got certified in Reiki and then crystal healing, right? But again, it was just one step at a time, one curiosity, letting it unfold. And so a few months after that, I was able to launch my energy healing practice and the crystal healing and all those things I was passionate about, right? So again, just one step at a time. I started doing it in a clinic, and then I transitioned from the clinic to getting myself a new condo that was really conducive to having the practice or the healing room out of my home. So that was lovely. And then it was simultaneous to kind of all that stuff going on. I knew in the back of my mind, I'm still meant for more. I'm still meant for more. I was still working full time, but I knew that my life was transforming and improving so much at such a rapid rate. And I realized that I really knew how to change things, how I felt, feel more fulfillment. I knew that I knew how to create a brand, a business out of an idea. And one thing led to another, and I got up the courage to create and launch my own coaching program, and that was called Elevate Your Life. I chipped away at it slowly but surely, month after month, building out the whole sequence, 4 months, 16 modules, the videos, all the things. And after a certain period of time, I was able to make the decision, you know what, I've come far enough. I'm ready to quit. I submitted my resignation letter in March of 2017, and then I started working full-time for myself in my coaching business, and I still had the skincare, still had the energy healing going on. That would have been March 31st, 2017 was my first day working full-time for myself. Now, you see that it was a gradual unfolding from the first self-development course in January of 5 years ago to then working full-time for myself in my multitude of businesses. That whole journey from course to the launching and working full-time for myself, that would have been a 3.5 year journey, right? So if you're watching this thinking, oh, you've done like one self-development course, and is it really in the cards for you that you could have what I have one day, making over 6 figures a year, loving the work you do, knowing in every fiber of your being it's your higher purpose and what you were born to execute, that you can't wait to work on, that you feel so much joy and fulfillment. If you think, oh, that seems so far away from where I am, well, imagine 3 years from now. That's the time it took me. So imagine 3 years for you, right? How old are you going to be? Is it the end of the world if you start doing that thing and being enveloped in a life you're wildly obsessed with in 3 years from now and 2 years from now? What if you embrace the journey and know, okay, every step of the way is still a step. It's not going to show up like that overnight. It didn't for me. There was a lot of shit I had to go through and a lot of days of coming home from that corporate job in tears, zapped on energy, passing out on my couch so tired, feeling struggle, just wishing I was already free from corporate and able to work full time for myself. But I stayed with it. I worked on it one day at a time, one weekend at a time, and the rest is history. So maybe you're 3 years away from that. Maybe you're 1 year away from that. Maybe you're on the cusp of it and you know it's in the cards for you 6 months from now. But I want to let you know the backstory so that you have deeper faith and inspiration that your life too could change in such a wild, crazy way in a relatively short period of time, because we're talking about you getting to live a life and a business you're wildly obsessed with for the remaining decades of your life. Rather than withering away, not executing your higher purpose, working for someone else in a cubicle. And hey, maybe that feels okay for you, but I know I'm speaking to some women who that doesn't feel okay for. And if I can go from where I was to where I am now, you absolutely can too. I was not handed this on a silver platter. I did not get lucky. I had every obstacle against me. Single, alone, struggling, in a fucking addiction. And for some of you who know my backstory, there was also a brain injury mixed in with all of that. It was really a nightmare, a shit show. But look at me now, right? Look at me now. So I hope you find value in this video and you get triggered to take the next step and the next step. I hope you have a beautiful night.